Hey, I'm Mike from Retro Boost. I've done a couple of videos now on RGB Scart cables recently, one on PlayStation 1 and one for the Super Nintendo, just showing their performance and comparing them composite. I came across something interesting I wanted to test out. These SCART cables by RetroGamingCable's UK, you know, they're pretty high end. They have a price that matches that performance. You know, they're not cheap. So I came across a really simple one that was on Amazon. $13 at the time of purchase. Little thin Nintendo brand SCART cable. So I'm curious. That's probably a good thing. It's probably supposed to do that. I'm curious to compare that cable to RetroGamingCable's version. So I recently talked about this one, the Nintendo one specifically. This is a shielded SCART RGB cable. You can tell it's shielded because of the thickness. Shielding helps protect the wire from external signals, you know, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, RF, and also it helps prevent crosstalk as well. So shielding's a good thing, can definitely help out. That isn't like snake oil for cables. Snake oil for cables is like where they're like, oh, well, it's got 32 karat surface silver composite jacketing. Like, it just needs to be conductive and we can go from there. So shielding it definitely helps because, you know, you find a lot of Ethernet cables nowadays. You'll see shielded variants being more popular for longer runs or runs that are intended for media transmission. So shielding is like a legit thing you can use to put a cable. So I wanted to compare RetroGamingCable's higher-end shielded cable versus this really simple one you can find on Amazon for like 13 to 15, maybe 20 bucks at the most, depending on the seller. There's actually a lot of options. So we're gonna put them to the test and see, is RetroGamingCable's cable, a lot of cables, worth it? Is the price justified? Or will this little $13 one be as good, which would be sad. So we're gonna do some side-by-sides and just show like individual gameplay and compare, and then we'll come back and discuss our findings. So here we go. If you find the video helpful or informative, please consider subscribing. It is the best way to help me grow the channel. I appreciate it. If you're interested in more of these cables and other retro gaming enhancement type things, I do have plenty of other videos talking about devices like, say, RetroTINK and these cables on their own individually. Let's get right into it. So showing off individual gameplay clips one at a time, the RetroGamingCable's one, just like I discussed in the original video about it, looks great. I would dare say jaw-dropping. I mentioned in my old video that it was like, quote, the closest to emulation quality I think I've seen out of any of this stuff yet. Combine these cables with a good device like the RetroTINK 5X Pro, there are other options though, and you get some truly amazing performance. Checking out the other guy's cable, it also looks good. I would say that that's definitely better than composite. I am noticing like a checkerboard kind of, not like checkerboard, but like line. There's like a pattern that you can see in some of the textures that the RetroGamingCable's brand doesn't have. I'm not sure what to label that. It doesn't look like what I saw in the PlayStation 1 SCART cable for like Metal Gear Solid, which apparently was dithering. It doesn't look like that. Doing some quick research online, I would be led to believe that it's a noise issue, but there is this pattern here that's visible. So let's see them both side by side here, two examples, and we'll go over that.
Big Apple, 3 a.m.
Very interesting. Their, like, color and brightness is almost identical. You can almost barely tell that it's a side-by-side comparison in certain moments. But I would have to give the edge to retro gaming cables because the image is cleaner. It doesn't have those patterns. And those patterns can range from being like obviously visible to being a little more subtle, like playing F-Zero. It's like in the sky, but not as much on the track, but then on the second track it was more visible, so it changes. It's very strange. So something about the Retro Gaming Cable's brand cable is lending itself to a much cleaner presentation than the other guys is. Now, for all I know, like I said before, I'm not like a crazy super smart video technician guy. I'm just sharing my experiences as I have them with you all. So if it comes to light that it's supposed to have that pattern all along, well then hey, the other guy's brand is better, but I prefer not having it and having the image be very, very clean in its presentation, which is what the Retro Gaming Cables one does. So hooray! The more expensive one that has better construction is the winner, which I would say is a shock. But in this realm, given that it's you know, you can tell it's better. You just hold it, you tell it's better. Is it because it's shielded specifically? That's hard to say. Maybe, I don't know. But there is a difference, and I would say that the Retro Gaming Cables brand one is the winner, and kind of a relief, because if they were the same, it would have felt pretty bad. So I'm glad to live in a world where the one that is listed as higher end is higher performing. Thank you. So awesome! If you found the video helpful or informative, please consider subscribing. It is the best way to help me grow the channel. I sincerely appreciate all who watch though. All of you have a great rest of your day.